back on the floor here for the Wolves. Oubre inside challenges McDaniels, who gets another block. Drummond offensive rebound. Swatted away by McDaniels from behind. His third block here in the opening 15 minutes of this game. And splits two defenders. Driving layup good. And a foul. Timberwolves up by double figures. Here with 8:46 left to go in the second.
Personal foul. Clipping.
Fox. What's going on, Alan?
I didn't see the flag thrown on that play. I didn't know there was a clip on that play. I like that.
Well, first and foremost, Alan Horton at Wolves Radio via Twitter. Thank you for letting me sit in with you last night on the vast and ever-expanding iHeart radio app and the Timberwolves channel. That was really cool, but in thinking about it driving home, I basically was your button bar. I mean, you'd say something, I'd go, oh, or you'd say something, I'd go, come on. I was like your human button bar next to you. It was a lot of fun, man.
That was a great time. It's always fun to have you up there, PA, and boy, it makes. I'm sorry, I'm a little sleepy. We had a little weather issue last night. I don't know if you noticed driving home. It was snowing. It was a little messy. The Wolves didn't get in until about 4 a.m. here. We finally got to the hotel by about 5.
Oh wow,
that's pretty nuts for a back-to-back. Damn, that's about as bad as it gets. So it's been a long night, but it makes it a little bit nicer when you're coming off a win, 2 straight, and maybe starting to trend in the right direction. That's the goal for these final 19 games.
That's why the point spread went down 3 points.
I always love that one.
Oh, I'm starting to figure this thing out now. How's Charlotte? Because it is awful here. I mean, you saw it as you were delayed from signature, I would imagine, off what you just said. Wow, holy cow, with this Wolves travel schedule of late. When I was driving home last night, after the privilege of sitting next to you and Superstats Dave for quarter number 2, when I heard you rattle through we've been from Boston to Denver and every town in between, and Los Angeles and Utah, and we get home at 3 from Houston, now this, wow, that's been a lot.
It's been a lot, and I have conferred with a lot of my colleagues around the league. There's no doubt this has been, and every team is going through it. And what happened was, the NBA Cup is in its second year, but they blocked off more time for that. And so the Wolves had 2 games in 10 days. They've basically played every other day since, except for the All-Star break, obviously. But it's just, what it does is it jams up the rest of the schedule. And when you mix in the Wolves' popularity of being on TNT and ESPN, you mix in a lot of these 8:30, 8:40, 8:50 start times. And then you've got to travel after the game. It makes a really long night. So since the All-Star break, we've had 2 days where we've traveled after a game and not gotten into 4 in the morning. Another one at 3 in the morning. Another one at 2 in the morning. Another one at 1 in the morning. And it's just it's as bad as it's ever been in my 18 years. I'll just put it that way. And a lot of people who travel a lot in this league would confer with that. So it's kind of the downside of having that NBA Cup and marking out as many days as they do, because you don't know who's going to be in it, so you can't schedule other games. Yeah. It just makes it really tough. It just jams up the rest of the schedule.
Meanwhile, LaMelo and Mark Williams lay in wait. So is there a chance we lose this game tonight? You can't lose to this team, man.
I've got to look back at the schedule. There is another game where we got in really, really late this year. Mm-hmm. It was I can't think of where it was. But it was about a 5 a.m. thing, and it resulted in a loss the next day. We just couldn't overcome that. There's some point in the night where if you get in late enough, it absolutely messes with your rhythm. And if you're a player, it gets you out of your cycle of when you sleep and waking up and then taking a nap. It just messes with all of that. And so, it's no joke. And I know Charlotte hasn't been playing well, and they're the rested team tonight. So, I mean, anything can happen, but that's where it takes the extra focus. You get dialed in. You've got to find, the Wolves have been playing a lot of guys recently. This is an opportunity maybe to play some guys who've got a little more juice left in them than maybe some other ones. And so, I don't know. We'll see how it goes tonight.
Off that, Alan, and thanks for the time, too. I know you're tired, man. I appreciate you. Well, with Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo coming back, now all of a sudden the kids, are going to have their minutes dramatically cut. Dillingham the most. Yeah. I'm not mad at that. But Terrence Shannon Jr., Jalen Green's numbers have been cut, too. But, what do you think of that whole thing with those kids and how they've been helping?
They've been incredible, and now I think Chris Finch knows what he has in those guys, because TJ was playing 20 minutes a game, and Jalen was playing 20 minutes a game. Rob was playing 20-plus minutes a game. So I think he's got a better understanding and a better knowledge of what those guys are going to bring if and when he calls upon them, if they're needed at those type of minutes. And again, this might be the type of game where those guys get a little more run and give you some spark, especially when the energy is low. But it's kind of all trending. I really thought that second half in Phoenix, PA was really special in the sense that, you could see the one hustle play by Julius where the bench went berserk, and I just thought the vibe was really good. And I can't recall seeing that in a long time. It just kind of felt like, okay, we're getting guys back. Let's start to play the right way. It's been, 82 games is a grind, an absolute grind. But now we can see the finish line. It's only 20 games away. We need to make a push. Let's come together. It didn't look like that last night for the better part of three quarters, but then they put their foot down in the fourth quarter. They ran away from Philadelphia. So 2 straight wins, and that's the most important thing. You just got to find your way to a win. And if it's the young guys that do it, if it's Dante and Julius that do it, it's probably going to be some sort of combination of everybody down the stretch here.
Jalen Clark, not Green, and off Phoenix. The Timberwolves have beaten Phoenix, I think, 7 consecutive times, something like that, by like an average of 11 points per game. Booker and KD have played in most, if not all of them. That Phoenix vibe, I mean, that personifies enigmatic, doesn't it? That's an enigma.
Dude, what the Wolves have done to the Suns is just so unique. They literally have not literally, I guess, figuratively. They have ripped the hearts out of the Suns, ripped them out of their bodies. They throw it on the floor, and then they do a dance and stomp on it. Like they've just demoralized them every single time they've played them. Whether it was coming from in the first game at Target Center this year against Phoenix, they rallied from like 7 down with a couple of minutes left. It's just an improbable win. So that was a close one. But the next 2, the Wolves just have the Suns' number, and you can see KD's body language, and Booker's body language, and Beal's body language. It's just. They've just gotten beaten down by the Wolves like 7 straight times. It's been amazing to see the Wolves be so dominant over opponents because we just haven't seen that through the years.
Hey, Vox, what triggered the blowout last night? Because, I mean, like, it was really close in the third quarter. Then all of a sudden I listened to you on the iHeart app, and we're up by like 17, 18 points. What triggered it?
Yeah, you know what I thought did was just kind of Mike Conley's buzzer-beating third quarter, end of the third from inside of midcourt.
Right.
He hit that, and all of a sudden the Wolves took off and scored on 15 of their 17 possessions to start the fourth quarter, and they just they were relentless. And you're right, Philly. I thought they looked good for 3 quarters. They moved the ball well. They had Paul George. He was playing more facilitator than scorer. They've got some interesting pieces with Quentin Grimes and Kelly Oubre. Both those guys were super efficient. But I think they ran out of gas, and the Wolves just dialed it up to start that fourth quarter, and then it was off to the races because they put up 43 points and they shot 80-something% in that quarter. And when your offense is clicking like that, I think Philly realized that it was going to be a long night for them.
Naz Reid, when Randall came back, Julius comes back against Phoenix, and Naz goes 3 of 15, and he hadn't been shooting great around that time anyway. I was happy to see at the end of the equation, Allen, he goes 9 of 18 last night, 5 of 10 from 3. What do you like about calling Naz Reid games? I mean, he's just so chill.
He is, and it's funny. I walked to the plane with him last night, and I was just like, "Hey, nice to knock down some threes." And he just had a huge smile on his face. It was almost just like a relief that you can trust your shot again, because that was a really long stretch. He was like 9 games shooting 26% from beyond the arc. And that's very, I don't know that he's gone through a stretch like that before. He's so easy to root for. I mean, an undrafted free agent who works his way up from a 2-way to a standard contract, from the Iowa Wolves to finally finding a spot in the rotation, to getting his minutes up to finally, 20 a game, and then showing that he can be a 25 to 30 minute guy, showing that he can be a starter in this league. Showing that he can defend at a starting level in the NBA, which he's basically done since either Julius or Rudy has been out over these last 15 games or so. And so to see him go through a shooting slump is just so strange because he's been so consistent with that shot. What I love, PA, is it's not just all about the three. He's got a really nice handle. He's got a really good shot inside. He can go right hand, left hand. He can do big man type things inside. And his energy is always great, always great. And so to see him struggle is to see any of the guys struggle. It's kind of frustrating to see, and I know they go through it because they're the ones that are missing the shots and not making the plays. But when it does come together, you get that big Naz Reid smile, which is just priceless. I mean, Naz is great. Honk if you love Naz Reid.
Alan, do you think they, at the end of the equation, they get out of the play-in and get like the 6 or the 5 or something like that?
I think they do, PA. I think they're right now just either a half game or a game back of 6. I think if they continue to play the right way, I think they're going to get in that top 6, and that's where they want to be. You got to avoid that play-in. The Wolves went through it for 2 straight years. Yeah, it was great, but it doesn't set up for long-term success. What the success is when you don't have to play in that play-in. You get the week off at the end of the regular season, and we saw how that benefited Minnesota last year. They got a week off before they faced Phoenix, destroyed them. Got a week off before they faced Denver. And I thought that was huge in jumping out to that 2-0 lead over Denver and eventually winning in 7 games. What they didn't have before the start of the Dallas series was any break at all, and that I thought kind of did them in. They just got behind the 8 ball, losing those first 2 games at home, and then never could recover. So if you want to make a deep playoff run, in my opinion, I guess there are some examples. The Lakers have done it, the Heat have done it, where you get out of that play-in and make a run to the East or Western Conference Finals. But it's pretty rare. You'd rather go the other way. You got to get in that top 6. I think they'll do it.
You get to see Mike Cristaldi tonight, don't you?
Mike is great.
He's the best.
To see him at the broadcast meetings in the fall, and then we only see them twice a year. But for people who don't know, Mike Cristaldi, a longtime head of the PR department for the Timberwolves, and has now been with Charlotte for a while. I mean, maybe pushing a decade at this point. It's been a long time, but Mike's one of the really great guys.
And you know who else you get to see tonight? My new friend, Shannon Spake. The Vikings were playing the Rams in the playoff game in Arizona. Charlotte played the Suns Sunday night, and Shannon knows some members of the Vikings media relations team. She's the sideline analyst for the vast and ever expanding Hornets television network. I think she used to work for ESPN. Yeah. Shannon's cool, man. She's got some salt of the earth to her.
Right on. I know Eric Collins will be fired up on the Hornets TV call.
All right. So lastly, Sunday TV for you. It'll be FanDuel Sports Network. Jim Pete by your side. That's cool. Alan is filling in for Grady, calling the game against the Spurs on TV, which means yours truly and Kevin Lynch will be calling Wolves and San Antonio Spurs shortly after 7 o'clock on FM 100.3 KFAN. Watching the operation of the broadcast last night and just taking some notes and you giving me your clean the glass password for all those sneaky stats and everything, man. That you're so good at what you do, man. That was a lot of fun last night. Kevin and I can't wait for Sunday. And I know you're excited to do the TV call, right?
I am. This is going to be it's going to be a lot of fun. It's a chance to work with Jim. He joins me on radio through the years, and a lot last year, and a handful of games this year. But it'll be fun to jump over to TV and also work with all the people that I see every day at the game, but I've never really worked with. And so all the great people behind the scenes, whether it's production or camera people, the people in the truck, Dave Dittman and Craig, the producer, and all these guys that I'm really familiar with and know really well, but I've never worked with. So that'll be a great opportunity. And that's going to be a KARE 11 game, too. So that's available for fans to watch over the air, too. So it's on KARE 11 and the FanDuel Sports Network. So that'll be pretty cool. All right. Have the boys put a body on Miles Bridges tonight. And if you do that, you should win the game. Keep Mark Williams off a double-double and head to Miami a winner. Okay, Vox? There it is. Those are the keys to the game right there. PA, appreciate you, man. Yeah, you're the best. See you, bud. Alan Horton, radio play-by-play voice for the Minnesota Timberwolves. My man's done it like 2 decades, like 18 years or something. That's really, really cool. At Wolves Radio via the tweet machine. A shorty around the corner, then 20 minutes from now, Hynesy on KFAN. And just to, not with a necessity to clarify the joking that I mostly / Nordo, but mostly yours truly was making during Used to Nord about baseball. I'm just going to be square with you here. It's like all the lack of the cap and then all the spending and like only 2 or 3 teams can win. Yeah. I've said it for years, man. I mean, we've done this together about a decade, and I've done it about 2.5 plus decades, and I enjoy the chill of baseball during the spring and summer.
the background bit with the Con and his Traeger preparing food for me and Cotton John. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. Diving into games and watching first pitch to last pitch might happen in the World Series or the playoffs. Probably not, though. I'm just negative on it right now. You know what I mean? Because of the deals and everything. And it's not because we're like left in the wake of a keen turn of spending spree speed. I'm just negative on it, man, because it's like, it's like that. It's and by all means, 64686, all you want. And to my personal site at KFAN. It's like a common sense thing. It's like when I listened the other day when I had the diverticulitis to you and Jack Brewer. I'm listening to that whole conversation just being like, well, common sense would indicate this with a biological male and or a biological female and strength and sports and achievement and thing. I mean, it's just like, I'm just listening to it like, holy cow. I mean, are people forgetting common sense here? Well, that's kind of the thing with baseball a little bit. It's like such an obvious common sense piece that maybe it gets fixed soon, but it's just kind of like made me negative on the whole thing. And by the way, I want to publicly say this to you. Excellent work the other day with Jack. I was saddened when I couldn't make that. I've known Jack for 20 some odd years. His first year was 02. My first year was 02. He was one of my first friends. He came from Southern Methodist University, played for the Gophers.
Yeah.
And like Jack was kind of an out of nowhere bit. I definitely was an out of nowhere bit. And we kind of took to each other. So like Jack and I were friends and still are. And thus he was on the radio show. But, so I love Jack, man. And you did a really, really good job with that the other day, in my opinion.
No, I appreciate it. And yeah, common sense. Girls sports are for girls. It's really that simple. It truly is.
Right.
To the baseball end of things, I personally, I'm like you. In a lot of ways, it might be background music.
Hold on. Phone line doesn't seem to be working. What happened to that?
I don't know.
Like I said, the text line is 64682.
The thing for me, though,
y'all know where to find me.
There is currently a lack of competitive balance. We also have a thing with our favorite team where it's a lot of wait and see.
Yeah,
and
I'm not talking about Riley Gaines. I'm talking about baseball.
No, I understand.
Okay.
And the situation with the team is it's wait and see on your big three. How healthy are they? It's wait and see from a pitching standpoint.
Right.
Well, I mean that's the issue though. Is Correa?
Yeah.
And Correa's been good when he's been healthy. Royce Lewis had that weird slump. Everyone's pretty confident he's going to get out of it. Byron Buxton apparently has had his best and most healthy of off seasons. But then there's the but.
Yeah.
Once you get
the common sense part pisses me off. Doesn't it piss you off?
It does.
Like it never really did because I'm like, yeah, it's there and Yankees and Dodgers and Angels and Mariners and Rangers all of a sudden. It's, okay, the Chicago teams. But I still enjoy it, and we're still pesky, piranhas, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Whether we're pesky or not, I've just gone down the road of the lack of common sense that's transpiring here is utterly ridiculous.
It is, and the lack of parity. Now there is parity in regard.
Yeah.
I mean, the Rangers go out and win one a couple of years ago.
It's a competitive imbalance, but back to baseball, you were saying?
Exactly. And speaking, I mean, they go together. I mean, that's competitive balance here, competitive balance there, as in baseball.
Yeah.
Natty's win in 2019. You can speak to all of that. What you're seeing, $750 million in money being spent by some of these teams in the offseason. How do you compete with that? I think the Dodgers might have $1 billion just in deferred contract money.
Yeah.
And so
they don't care.
They don't. And they can just keep spending all day long.
Yeah.
You've spent now 2 years really battling just how do I watch my favorite baseball team on TV?
Yeah.
Now we got the streaming bit. We have that. Now we're in the midst of, and there are a lot of Twins fans out there. We use jokes, of course, program after us. And you'll hear Pollad pocket protectors. Well, they're going to sell the team. Well, then we get spurned by Ishbia because he's already got a small stake in the Chicago White Sox. Frankly, that does make more sense.
Right.
And his ability to take over for Reinsdorf.
But how's that not known before it even goes public? He has a chip chair here.
Well, it was known. I don't think it was focused on, though. I do remember hearing about that last winter, but then it was just kind of, but they're very interested here. Oh, by the way, They have like $17 billion between the two brothers. You start dream weaving, and it kind of sounded like there was so much momentum it couldn't be stopped. So you just have all of those things stacked on top of each other.
Yep.
The yeah buts, the ownership weirdness, all of that. I just want the team to win games, and I'm going to watch a ton of the games. But my goodness, the last few years, I think have been really hard on even the most loyal of Twins fan to get invested. It was after the playoff season that the salary number goes way down. I mean, I just think, I think there's, and it's not about, well, the team has to do X, Y, Z, A, B, C to bring fans back. I don't think it's like that. There's a ton of people partying down in Fort Myers right now, but my interest level has been, the energy for baseball right now has been sucked out of me. We are also in the midst, by the way, of maybe one of the coolest free agent periods as Vikings fans we've seen in a long time. That is taking up and dominating really my mental space with sports.
And we have a hockey team with the best road record in the NHL, a basketball team that will be a factor in the postseason, and the state high school hockey tournament begins today. And don't forget about Cal Conway, a goaltender who left Andover to go to Stillwater, had to sit out games, and now he plays his former squad and all of his friends today or tomorrow. I mean, that is rich and compelling. Now, tomorrow, 9 to noon, in closing here for this segment before we find Hynesy, could include, but is not relegated to, the Minnesota Vikings have to re-sign Byron Murphy Jr. Okay, I'm not the first to say that, but I'm going to say it loudest.
That's a have to?
Yeah, they need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, drive-bys.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yep.
End it right there, the drive-bys after the victories.
100%.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Coolest answers ever, like Antoine Winfield. You ask Antoine a 4-minute question. Oh, yeah.
Well, and he has one of the smoothest and coolest.
Chill.
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's what it was. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, all right. That's Byron Murphy Jr. on a drive-by here in the back. Yes, sir. Let me go over here and talk to Ben Ginkle. Yes, sir. I'm going to beg for Byron Murphy Jr. tomorrow. My cold call Quasey and demand he does it. Okay. Carlton Davis might make the chat tomorrow, but he's already made the chat. Just imagine Zach Bond and Jeremy Chin in the Brian Flores defense. Zach Bond, that's the Eagles guy's name, right?
Eagles guy.
Yeah, former Saint, Zach Bond.
And Jeremy Chin.
Imagine them and their skill sets in a Brian Flores defense.
I love, and I know the stats won't play this out, Jeremy Chin kicks ass.
I know. And they say he's fallen off the last couple of years. Big deal. We don't think he's taking it on the chin. So, do you draft a corner at 24? That's boring. Defensive tackle or running back at 24. Police, offensive lineman and free agency. Ben Johnson playing super fast right now, sensing teams are going to want offensive lineman and free agency. My man goes out and makes trades for non-free agents. I got respect for that. O-line at 24. I could dig that. Zach Bond and Jeremy Chin with Brian Flores. That's dreamy. When we return, let's talk about that victorious hockey team, the Minnesota Wild. John Hynes, coach for the team, joins next.
Wolves. I can't wait until tomorrow.
Hey, Coach. Paul Allen, what's going on?
Hey, Paul, how you doing, man?
Pretty good. Congratulations on last night. Are you in the Couve or still Seattle?
No, we're in Vancouver, yeah.
Yeah, congratulations. Couple days off in Vancouver. Sure beats, like Salt Lake City. This Wild beat the Kraken last night on the FAM, improving to 22-9-3 on the road, which is best in the NHL. And 2 wins from the best road record in the history of the team. That's fantastic, specifically given the injuries the coach and the team have faced this year. And here comes the man they call Hynesy, who joins the show weekly and is with us now from Vancouver. Hey, I'm really happy you guys won last night after former Kraken Devin Shore scored early in the third to make it 5-3, but the tally was disallowed. Did the goal being overturned surprise you? And good morning.
Good morning. How are you? Good to be with you again. I was a little surprised just because of the angles that we had. It didn't look like there was contact, but I guess there's a couple different angles that the referees get that we don't, or saw that we didn't, and then it could overturn. But I was a little surprised even with how long it took to overturn the goal, but unfortunately it happened.
From up 4-1 to a 4-3 meat grinder win. I'm guessing here you're an elite hockey mind. I'm not. Turnovers and frustration seem to play into Seattle surging back. How did you see it?
Yeah, I thought it really was a combination. I think that there's a certain level of, I think, competitiveness and game management that you need to have to win in this league regularly. And I thought we had a pretty strong start to the game, and then I think our puck management and our puck execution put us under duress. And then when we were under duress, I think our competitive level on the puck at times wasn't what it needed to be. And then it turns the feed of momentum. They work a little bit. They're getting the momentum. We're feeding their momentum with some of the decisions we made and some of the hardness that we didn't execute with at that point in time. And lesson learned as I talked to the team. I mean, we're going to extract some of those things. We're going to talk about them. We're going to show them, the positives and negatives of the game. But at this point in the season, it's winning and learning lessons is much better than losing and having to learn a lesson.
Well stated. How much do you think they care about hockey in Seattle? I mean, it's like, is it a loud arena? Because I know they have dispensaries up there, so they get a little flighty.
Yeah, no, it's you know what? The arena's really well done. The crowd's right on top of you. Every time I've been there, it's basically a sellout or close to a sellout. It's a loud building. So I think the design of the building has been really good. And yeah, the fans are into it. So it is a challenging place to play when they get some momentum.
Coach, help me with this one. Brandon Montour. He scores with 11 seconds left in the second period to make it 4-3. What's the room like when somebody scores that late, like between periods 2 and 3 here? Can it become deflating? At times you are concerned about that. I would say last night in the particular situation that there was a little bit of frustration. I wouldn't say deflating. It was more of, we let the period get away from us and, they capitalized. I mean, you could see it coming. You could feel it coming. You could see it coming. And it came. And it was about how we were going to respond to that situation was the most important thing. Good for Hartsey, too, because, I don't know, at one point he was 3 of 14 on faceoffs, first game back after a while, and he won a couple of key faceoffs for you late. I thought that was really, really cool, man. What'd you think of his return?
It was good to have him. I thought he brought some energy. He skated well. I know he was excited to get back. I know the team was excited to get back, and I think you saw some of that energy in and around the team prior to the game and at the start of the game, and he came through for us big. I think, as you said, we really struggled on face-off last night. That's another component of losing momentum is when you don't start with the puck. You're always defending right off the face-off. So that was another element. But as you said, when the game was on the line late in the third, in a real high competitive situation, he came through for us.
Vinny Hinostroza, looking like a waiver wire pickup of the year, seriously, 4 goals in 8 games here. What makes him a tough customer, specifically, John, when he's in front of the net?
Competitive nature. He's a tenacious kid. He can play a speed game. He's a good skater. But he's competitive on the puck, and he's competitive in the hard areas of the rink. The net fronts, wall plays, 50-50 puck battles. That's, when you have that competitive nature to you and you're willing to and committed to playing those areas of the ice, usually good things happen.
He set that nice screen on the Spurgeon goal, right?
Yes, yep, yeah, he had a nice screen, and then he also had, he helped on the power play goal at the net front.
Yeah, the early one, but when it comes to screening, not everybody has elite size. So what are some coaching points, for players who are being told to set better screens and be more aware when you're in the area of the mouth of the goal? Like what do the good ones do that just is second nature?
Well, first and foremost, it starts with a willingness to get there. It's not an easy place to get to, right? Because there's going to be a confrontation there. You're going to have to confront someone. Someone's going to confront you. They're going to try to move you out of that area of the ice. There's going to be pucks coming into that area. So you have to have a willingness and a commitment to be there. And the players that get there and they have a willingness to be there, not because they're told, but they're willing to compete in that area of the ice. Now they find ways to get in the goalie's eyes. They find ways to be in a battle, and as the puck comes, they can get their stick free for a tip. If the puck comes and they're getting boxed out, they can spin off a player. There's a secondary effort at the net front. So now all of a sudden there's a rebound and you're in position. You're not conveniently tied up. There's a difference of being at the net front, ready and willing to compete, and being at the net front and when you're just there to be there.
Yeah.
A lot of those components I talked about aren't where they need to be at a high level.
That's an elite answer. We appreciate that. John Hynes, coach of the Minnesota Wild, taking on Vancouver Friday on KFAN. Johansson and Zuki, man, they were showing off with that give-and-go goal. That was just beautiful. So no Kaprizov and/or Eriksson Ek. Now, that's not great, but what are you liking about the chemistry between those two, Marcus and Zuki?
Yeah, I think the two of those guys have good chemistry. I also would add in Freddie Gaudreau.
Yep.
I think that line, the trio, have some good chemistry. Why? They're playing fast and quick. I think they're making good decisions with the puck, and all three are working together all over the ice. They all have a competitive nature to them where they're winning puck battles. They're playing with the puck, then they're making good decisions with the puck, and they're all playing at the same pace and tempo.
Now, so Vancouver Friday, and that's around 7 hours after the trade deadline. Cliched question, but I want to ask it because it only happens once a year. Do you have to guard against players overthinking a day like that and like maybe talking about it too much, given it can be nerve-wracking?
Yeah, I think so. It's always something that is you want to address with the players because it is an extenuating circumstance, right? So I think if you don't acknowledge it, but it's like everything, you can control what we can control. I think that in our position right now, it's usually an easier trade deadline. Because you're either gonna stand pat with the group you have, or you're gonna try to add to it. I think sometimes it is a more difficult situation if you're a clear seller. Like last year, that was a difficult situation. Guys are coming on a road trip. There's players that are really believing that they're not going to end the road trip with the team. So that is a factor. But at the end of the day, we all get paid to play and coach the game we're in, and that's what our focus has to be.
About 23 hours from now, the general manager, Bill Guerin, is on this radio show. Would you like me to push him to get you any players?
Always. Coaches always want players.
Got any names? Got any names for me, Coach? All right. Anyway.
I got some names, but I don't know if Billy would like that.
Understood. Last one, and it has some local to it. It's the culmination of Minnesota's high school hockey tournament this weekend. Big stuff as we go here, as you know now. How big is the high school hockey tournament, let's say, in your native Rhode Island?
Well, Rhode Island, when I was growing up, Rhode Island was a big time high school state. We had a big, huge Christmas tournament, the General Bulletin tournament at Christmas, and then the state championship was a big factor. Fairly similar to the to Minnesota. Just the importance of high school hockey, the amount of players that played and have gone on to college and pro. But the Minnesota high school tournament is one in itself. I think when you look at the history of the state, the hockey in the state, the fanfare, the Excel pack. It's an exciting time. It's awesome.
And
I think it's great to see.
And I'm older than you by like a decade or 8 or 9 years. Well, how about this? Like Thomas Vanek is an assistant coach and has a kid playing. Jordan Leopold has a kid playing. Matt Cullen has a son along with a nephew playing. I mean, it's seriously. I mean, it's like I was watching them play for the Gophers or in the NHL just like yesterday, and now they got kids in the state high school hockey tournament. That's pretty cool.
I know. And you know what? It's funny. I was talking to someone too. Just the state of Minnesota hockey, I think it was someone that was in Edina the other day I was talking to, and it's like, and he was a basketball guy, but he's just like, you know what? He goes, it's unbelievable even in that area, that there's ex-NHL players that are coaching, peewees or mites, and just the hockey history, like you said, you got all these guys that have kids playing in high school tournament.
Yeah,
it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch. I hope we can get back and watch some games for sure.
I mean, my daughter went to Holy Family in Chaska or Victoria. And she didn't play hockey, but an assistant coach for the girls team, Stefan Veilleux. I'm like, are you kidding me? How does this happen? All right, you're the very best.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
Tear it up against the Couve. We'll see you next week for a Vox in the Box. God bless you and your family, man, and thanks for the time.
All right, thanks, PA. We'll see you next week.
See you, bud. Thank you for listening to 9 to Noon. Back at it tomorrow when we rise and shine at 9. Here comes Big Daddy Khan and the wrap on the show.
Good stuff.
Just listen. Just listen.
Time for 2 more.
The game is over.
The host battling diverticulitis, getting so bad he got his fluids checked at Midas. Under the hood, dime-sized nips and arthritis. Champion girl sports, the idiots want to fight us. Chatting bikes, they'll have a new look. GM is ready to pounce with an open checkbook. Van Ginkel a steal last year, he's no crook. Build the thing around McCarthy, he's ready to cook. Florio's bored with drama and verbal catapults, but he's loving this dust-up rap sheet and Jordan Schultz. It's easy to forget sometimes we're all adults as we get so petty with these childish insults. A heel turn, do it quick on a dime. If we didn't mention it, a felonious crime. It's the state high school hockey tourney time, and speaking of time, we're out. So no more rhymes.
Oh my God! Kirko Shield!
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.